Can you get scammed in Roblox Jailbreak? The answer is no. No, you can't. Absolutely not. I have seen so many people in the jailbreak community try to say that they've been scammed or that scamming is a thing to be wary about, and if you want my judgment, scamming in jailbreak trading is not possible. It simply does not exist. The only thing of that sort that does exist in the game is stupidity. Now, I do apologize if that does seem harsh to people that consider themselves victims of jailbreak scamming, but simply put, jailbreak scamming is not possible if you are aware of jailbreak item values. I think generally, trading in jailbreak essentially requires you to have at least semi-encyclopedic knowledge of jailbreak item values to a certain extent. First of all, the balance system is a very well integrated system that, one, prevents scams to a certain extent, even with how botched and broken it can be, and two, it prevents people from just getting free items from other players. And so in that way, the game is kind of always telling you the relative value of certain items that you're willing to trade. So that, for example, if you're trading with someone and you offer a power 1, if the other party is trading something like a dirt bike, the trade will simply not go through because those values very obviously do not match up. However, if the other party decides to put down a hyperchrome, that's when things start to get tricky, because these things basically throw the balance system out the water. And so going along with this example, if you're trading a power 1 and the other party gives a hyperchrome, you can also put down another hyperchrome just like it, and the trade will still be balanced. And while I said there is no way for you to get free cars, I lied to you. This is the way. So what exactly do you do in situations like this, where the other party is trading a hyperchrome and trying to offer it for something that is clearly not at the same value? And before I actually reveal the proper solution to this scam, I want to mention another type of scam that very much relates to this solution that I'm going to be mentioning. So imagine this scenario. Imagine you are a jailbreak player from 2019, and ever since then you have not touched the game, and now you've returned to it and you've seen that they added trading, so you go there out of curiosity. You go there, admire the scenery, and eventually start a trade with someone, and they see that you actually have a torpedo in your inventory. And so what do? They offer a Maverick. You have no idea what the Maverick is because you have not played this game in so long, so naturally you ask what that vehicle is. And so what do they say? Don't worry about it, man. The values are like the exact same. Your torpedo is just as valuable as this pristine Maverick. Here, I'll give you like a level 1 hyperchrome just to balance out the trade. Trust me, that one is even more worth it. And so naturally, you start to get skeptical. But then you accept the trade anyway because clearly they know more than you do, and clearly they're right because they played this game for this long. Yeah, what could go wrong? That is what the community has dubbed OG scamming, taking advantage of somebody's lack of knowledge of item values and deliberately lowballing and socially engineering them so that they don't know a damn thing and you get the items for a very, very low price. And so to answer the question of how to avoid scams like this, let's go back to the scenario at hand. What could we have done instead to avoid the scam at hand? And I will tell you, do your research! If you have no idea how to navigate item values, this is the most surefire way of how to avoid these kinds of scams. And guess what? I've done it myself, and I have a 100% success rate. This always works, and the only reason why it doesn't work is what I said about stupidity. Trading in Jailbreak without having any sort of grasp on the values of in-game items is like walking into a minefield. The more people do this, the more my brain melts. And I'm sorry for being all Dave Ramsey on y'all motherfuckers, but really, this all boils down to just being aware of item values, which really isn't hard if you do your research. Naturally, in response, you may be asking, where exactly do I research and figure out what the values of certain items are? And you might expect me to recommend very specific value lists, things like jailbreak changelog.xyz, which is actually a fairly reliable value list in my opinion. But instead, I'm not going to tell you to look at a value catalog. I'm going to tell you to look at all of them, every single one that you can find. I'm talking jailbreaktrading.net, jailbreakvalues.whatever, literally every one that you can find, even ones that are fan-made. Sifting through value lists and determining the value of items for yourself is very, very integral to jailbreak trading. But in spite of all of that, there is actually one jailbreak value list I do recommend, and that is the Jailbreak Wiki. Now you might be thinking, Metal Sentry, this site does not have a value list. Yeah, actually it does. It's actually on the front page. It's called the Vehicles page. Rather than having someone else determine values for you, you can just do it yourself here by looking at the stats of certain vehicles, how many days that they were available for, what makes them stand out against other vehicles, what season they were from. Literally every source of jailbreak vehicle knowledge is on the wiki, and you can look at that and you can determine the value for yourself, which really is not hard. Like, if you're using the wiki to devise your own values, you can easily tell that the Striker is not as valuable as something like the Proto 8 because the stats are weaker and it was available for a much longer time. So when you consider everything, how the community views these vehicles and how you view these vehicles, it is easy for you to devise values for your cars, and that is a surefire way of how you cannot get scammed if you are aware of the values of items. If you want to get into trading and you do not know the values of items, you are setting yourself up for failure. And I am aware that it is a bit easier said than done because I have been a part of the jailbreak ecosystem landscape for who knows how long now, so I pretty much know vehicle values like the back of my hand. But for someone who is a more recent player and they don't know the values of things, it might be a little daunting to figure out how the whole thing works. And if you are that person, just slow down, take your time, learn values, and you'll be on your way. All I'm trying to say is that scamming in Jailbreak is not possible if you know what you're doing. And if you don't, that's on you, unfortunately. Whether you got socially engineered or you simply just made a very, very, very unsatisfactory trade, there are things to prevent this and more people need to do them. Because, for me, I'm kind of tired of pulling up the Jailbreak Twitter community and seeing someone be like, "Oh, I got scammed." No, you didn't. You were just being an idiot. This isn't like Fortnite Save the World weapon trading where they can back out at the last second and they can completely steal what you're offering, or Rocket League trading where they could swap out a painted item for something that's painted burnt sienna. There are things you can do to prevent yourself from being a victim of quote-unquote scamming, and I'm tired of people not engaging with them. Every trade that happens in the Jailbreak Trade World hinges on the fact that you are aware of values and you know what to trade for what. And if you are not aware, you are simply not ready to trade in Jailbreak. And you know what? During the production of this video, me and my friend actually encountered a scammer in the trade world. We don't have any documentation of the trade or the discussion that happened, but basically, this guy we found was trying to lowball my friend and saying that a bunch of highly valuable items, things like the laser cannon, the RTX rims, the void rims, the snow tires, things of that sort, and the drip texture, all added up to the value of a hyper purple level 5. And if you know values like myself, you would know that that is wrong. All of that stuff probably adds up to nearly 100 million in value if you use very reputable value lists. And once my friend questioned him about it, he instantly left the server. So yeah, he was definitely explicitly trying to lowball and scam my friend out of some very high value items. And if I wasn't there to tell him that, hey, these values do not seem right, he probably would have fell through for the trade. This clip we have right here is like the only documented testimony that I can show for the video, but you just have to trust me on this, and this did happen.
And the purple?
33.5 mil. Drip 14.5 mil.
Oh. They left.
Oh.
We
just caught a scammer in action! Holy shit!
Were you recording?
It's honestly insane that the timing was this good because this happened during the production of this video. Really makes me wish I got more recordings of this. I guess some final notes for this video. In terms of values and how you can determine them, it doesn't always have to be about stats and how long they were obtainable for and how they were obtainable. They can always be determined by how you personally feel about the craftsmanship of the vehicle. Like, just throwing out an example, I traded away my OG monster truck in exchange for the Maverick because, frankly, I do not care about the OG monster truck because it has weaker stats than the actual monster truck that's currently in the game, and I just wanted to drive around the Maverick because I wanted that Dodge Charger. What can I say? I've been on a Forza grind lately. I've been wanting to drive more realistic cars lately. Can we please have a Sesto Elemento in the game, Badimo? Please? That's all I ask. And another thing, can we not accuse other people of scamming when there is no evidence that that is what they're doing? I've seen the term scam used so freely and usely in the community to the point where I'm convinced that the word has lost all meaning, if I'm being completely honest. I've seen the word be merely defined as accepting a trade where you get significantly less value, but like I said, I traded away my OG monster truck for a Maverick, and I'd argue that the Maverick has a much lower value compared to the OG monster truck because the OG monster truck's stats are just significantly better than the Maverick. But would I call that a scam? Absolutely not! The Maverick holds more value to me than the OG monster truck does, because that is what I wanted. So no, I didn't get scammed just by virtue of me accepting a trade where I get significantly less. And if you were looking for an item and you accepted a trade for that item, but then after the trade was accepted, you heavily regret your decision, you did not get scammed. You simply just made a very poor decision that you regret. And a very similar issue that I've seen is that you cannot trade those RTX tires for shit anymore. Because I was not a witness of this, but reportedly whenever that tire got added in the most recent Jailbreak update as of recording this video, people were convincing others that the RTX tires they were offering were actually the RTX rims, which has significantly more value, like way more value, like in the tens of millions. Which, can I just say that this scam is stupid because you could simply look at the tire and deduce that that is not the rim because those are different things. It tells you that it's the tire style, not the rim. Are people stupid? Well, yes, but don't answer that question. But even if you're trying to offer this item, you can't trade it because people will automatically assume that you're using it to scam people, which is also just stupid. Y'all do realize that there are lower level traders that do trade obtainable cosmetics for vehicles, like, you know they exist, right? Don't just rule out a vehicle because it was used for a very shitty scam. And that's pretty much all I gotta say for this video. Normally, I do not care about jailbreak trading, but there has been a lot of stuff in the jailbreak community surrounding trading and scamming and things like that, and I just had to give my piece about it because the whole thing can be avoided, in my opinion. Only other thing that I can say is that you should trade on your instinct. If you have a gut feeling that the trade is not worth it, it probably isn't. Because in the very rare instance that I'm trading in Jailbreak, I only accept trades that I know for sure that I'm satisfied with. That is why in the 2022 video, you saw that I couldn't drive the Javelin. I had to get my friend to drive around the Javelin for me to show it off for the video, because I traded it away. Because I already have a torpedo, so I just traded away the inferior version of it, in my opinion, for a Power 1 and an Aperture. So then after that, I no longer had one vehicle that I didn't even have a strong opinion of at all, but instead, I got two vehicles that I actually really like driving around. What can I say? I'm a sucker for the McLaren P1, and I really like the Apollo Gumpert, whatever it is. Is it a Gumpert? No, I'm not sure. I just really like it because it has really good stats. It's probably just a me thing, but I trade purely on how I feel about the items that I'm trading. It's worked out for me thus far, so maybe you should take notes in that aspect too. But that's pretty much all I gotta say for this video. Stay safe while you're trading, unless you want me to call you an idiot.
Give me the real invincible! My name is Shapesmith.